There she is. There she is. There she is. Hello, Palesa.
Hi, Sunny.
Hi. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Welcome, Palesa, to Rewriting the Script at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. And so you know where we're at. Today, we're talking to producer for BarLeader Entertainment, but has worked across the industry in so many different capacities. We have on today live with us is Palesa Magakoa. Thank you so much, Palesa, for joining us. We really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you so much, and good job in pronouncing my surname right.
Yeah, guys, I practiced that, hey? I practiced that so hard. You have no idea. I really did. I knew I was getting it wrong. As everyone joins, I just want to give everyone a brief introduction as to who you are, what you're about. Is that this is Palesa Magakoa. She's a producer, started off as a production assistant. You've worked on so many different shows across channels and across broadcasters. You've worked on Jovicho, Being Bonang, obviously Living the Dream, Kwa Mamkize, the Somhale Wedding, basically everything that's BarLeader, and done a bunch of scripted stuff before that.
Yeah.
So welcome and thank you so much. I wanna ask you our very first question that we ask all of our guests, which is, what is it about a story?
Oh my gosh. Okay. What is it about a story? Oh my gosh, that question.
Yeah, it trumps everyone, don't worry.
I think what gets me about a story is, the first thing is narrative. That's the story for me. Yeah.
Okay. Dope. I love that. For me as well. For me, it's definitely narrative, but actually maybe it's character. I fluctuate between the two. It's one of the two. Exactly. So you're a producer, and you've also worked as a production manager. So for everyone who's joined in, I just want you to please give us an explanation as to what exactly is a producer and what exactly is a production manager.
Okay, so basically what a producer is that the producer helps a director's vision come to life. That's what a producer does. So basically it's just making the creative come alive. And then a production manager, gosh, you do so much work there. You're basically managing the entire production. Basically, that's what it is when you summarize it. Yeah. I
always say to people, I'm like, the DOP and the director are like the parents trying to make this baby, but like God is actually the producers, because they've actually already decided what the hell's going to happen before we've even arrived on set. So tell us a bit about your journey and how you got to where you are. You started as a production assistant in 2011, and now you're a producer for one of the most prolific production companies in this country, which is BarLeader TV. Shout out. So how did you get here? Tell us a bit about your journey.
Okay, so basically my journey started off with Brent Onion Productions. They gave me basically like the taste into production, and I was a production assistant. I had no idea what production entailed. Like, I studied to become a production designer. And so when I went for my interview with Brent Onion, they basically taught me the ropes of production. So I worked my way from a production assistant to production coordinator, and then to production manager, and then I joined BarLeader, and I was from BarLeader, I was a production manager to a producer. Yeah.
So this is so interesting for everyone who maybe doesn't understand the terminology. A production assistant is basically another term for runner. Someone who's kind of doing a little bit of everything. It's kind of how you start, how you cut your teeth, and then you kind of work your way up with more responsibility as that. So how do you move between different shows? Because you've worked on so many different shows, and so how do you move and get your headspace into, this is a Somizi focused show, these are our goals for this show, this is a Bonang focused show, this is a Kwamamkize. How do you get your head around the different shows?
Basically, it starts off with also knowing who you're working with, who the talent is, because they're also different. Like, Bonang is different from Esomizi to Mamkiz is different from Esomizi and a Bonang. So it's understanding each of these, like the talents, who they are. And then basically that's how we then that's how we move around with telling our stories, or telling these people's stories like through reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you say that the talent is very different. How do you find that you have to, what is the kind of relationship as a producer you need to have with the talent in order for you guys to have the same vision?
Well, they need to trust you. That's the first thing. They need to trust you. But the main people that actually work with them closely are the directors. My goal is just to make sure that the talent is always happy and that we meet their needs and that we basically meet everyone else's needs. Besides the talent, we meet production's needs with the director and everyone else.
Okay, I want to encourage everyone that's joining the live now to please feel free to send us questions that I'll field, and those questions I'll be able to ask Palesa about anything you're sort of interested in. I know when I announced that you're our guest this week, we were flooded with questions, and I'm pretty sure your social media is going to be flooded with job requests very soon. So what was your goal when you started out? Did you start out wanting to be a producer? Did you start out wanting to do something else and found production?
Not at all. My goal was to be a production designer. So being a producer, from production design to producer, it was just like really different stuff. Basically, what made me want to be production designers because production designers basically create worlds, and that's what I loved. And you create a world by setting up a set, you know, you create, how can I explain it? Basically, you create the worlds for the stories, you know, and
for what people see at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I caught the bug when I was then in production as a production assistant. I was like, this is dope. I actually want to do this. And now.
That's so interesting. I spoke to a producer really recently who said that it takes about 10 years for you to know what the hell you're doing in production.
You're forever learning.
Every day. Yeah. Do you agree with that statement?
I do. You're always learning in this industry. You'll never know everything. Every single day is something new. Yeah.
And especially with production, because I know for myself as a creative, I'm just like, oh, is there a problem? Go talk to production. Like, go talk to the producers. They'll sort you out. So do you feel like you're constantly having to put out fires?
Sometimes.
I love how you're picking your words very carefully.
I am. Because I know like some of like my team members are watching, so I'm like, sometimes.
Oh really? Oh, okay. I get it, girl. Protect your bread, protect your bag, please, by all means. Okay, so I want to get into these nitty-gritty questions that we were absolutely flooded with, and a lot of them are around budgeting and finance and how to really manage that situation. So how do you handle, firstly, having a budget and needing to stick with it, but also trying to keep talent and crew happy? What's your strategy for that?
So basically with us, we have a line producer who manages the budgets. So she makes sure that we stick to our budget, but I'm also there to oversee and make sure that we do stick to our budget. Sorry, my phone just keeps going dark.
It's okay.
Yeah. So yes, so we have a line producer for that who mainly deals with budgets. And then you're saying, sorry, what was the first one about the budget?
How do you make sure that talent and crew are happy whilst also trying to stick to a budget that you have?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question actually when it comes to making talent happy and everyone else. Because as you know, like we actually as productions do not get the budgets that we wish for. So it's always a bit tricky to try and work around, let's say, with a certain budget that is very limited at times, especially with the kind of genre that we have and the talent that we work with. We work with like really, really great South African artists. So to make them happy, you always have to try and make sure that they are also happy financially. But yeah, we make it work with the
rands. You make it work with what you have. Yeah.
With what we have.
And so in the South African context, because I know you've had a chance to sort of shadow and experience what a Hollywood model is or what an international model is around producing and show running, what are the key differences with our producers and what we call production and what maybe Hollywood or an international market would call?
I'd say that like the guys from abroad they have bigger budgets to play with. Like, it's nice. It's nice that side.
Yeah.
It's like they've got the money to get all the amazing camera equipment, and you know what I mean, to meet everyone's needs. What we are dealing with this side is kind of limited, but like I said, that we do the best that we can do in South Africa. Yeah,
I'd say you do more than the best you
well.
can do. I mean, as a viewer, when I switch on the TV, I can almost instantly see when it's your guys' work and when it's not, because of the production value. So why can you do it and others can't?
I think it's the execution. BarLeader has the best people.
Okay, you're biased. You're biased. Okay.
Basically, it's execution.
Okay.
That we nailed that too. BarLeader.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that came in is what you know now. Knowing what you know now, what would you change in terms of your career growth and how you got here?
I know who sent that question. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I want to know now, what would I do different in framing career growth? I think I would say that I shouldn't be afraid. I shouldn't limit myself. And I just need to take a jump, just take the leap of faith. You know, like I said, that in this industry, you're forever learning. And I think when you put borders for yourself, you limit yourself from learning and doing things differently. So that's what I can say. Personal experience. So I think 2 years ago, I'd gone and I worked on another project in Cape Town. And I got to see how much opportunity that we actually have in Johannesburg, just between Cape Town and Johannesburg. And it was just me being invited into a room where majority of it were Caucasian people, and they were in higher positions. And here I was as a minority and also a young Black female, and here I am in this room, and they were all looking at me with like crazy eyes going, how did you land up in this room? How is it possible for you? Yeah, because it's not like this side. So I learned that Joburg is ever growing, it's changing, and I appreciated myself being this side, like being in Joburg and working in Joburg even more. I'm sure in Cape Town that they deal with like the international stuff quite a lot, but it's harder for us of minority and Black, like, and females to make it that side than it is here. Like in Johannesburg, you have a lot of Black people who are in good positions, like HODs, you know, like a Black producer, a Black DOP, a Black producer, a female DOP. It's interesting how different it is this side. So
how did you feel when you walked into that room?
It was awkward, but I had to own it. Like, I don't lie, I felt some type of way. I felt like I didn't belong there. I questioned myself for a couple of seconds, but then when I sat down, I was like, there's a reason why I'm here. And I belong here, and they're gonna have to be fine with me belonging there in that moment.
You see, I absolutely love that, and this is why this show for me it's been so enlightening for me, is that we're getting such a different array of females who sit in very different positions, you know, and someone would look at what you've done and what you've produced and kind of shocked that was sort of the treatment, or you weren't used to being in that kind of situation. So this leads me to a very important question, because I've had a lot of really great male allies in this industry who've kind of whispered to me, like, you need to charge more, you know, and you're sitting on the producer side where people send you their rates, they send you their invoices. Are females undercharging themselves?
They are. I think for me, I went through that period as well where I was undercharging myself and I was also underpaid. And the person that saw that I deserved more was actually Legend. Legend was like, you deserve to be way beyond, and you need to also get a salary that matches your talent. And I think if he hadn't said that, I was going to be okay with whatever that I was given, because you end up also being desperate. You need a job. You need to, you know, you need to make your ends meet every single month. But he was just one of those people that said, you need to see yourself and you deserve more.
That's so dope.
When we do have people that, you know, come on board and they want jobs from us, I'm always for, you know, them getting what they deserve as well, because it's very tough.
So as a producer, then, is it your job to be like, listen, to do what Legend did for you, ultimately, for somebody else? Do you see that as your responsibility?
Yes, it is my responsibility. I fight for them when I can. When I know that someone deserves a certain amount, I will fight for that.
I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm very excited for the next project that we will work on together, so that you can tell me that exact thing. I want to speak about empowerment, and is that, okay, so what is the gap between a creative and a producer? Because a lot of the time there's quite a bit of friction, or you know, not a non-understanding between the two. So how do you
We're the bad people. We're the bad people, because it's always like, yeah, you guys are not getting enough money.
Aren't you?
No, we're not. Like, there's a reason why we're saying why you guys are limited. But you're right, there is a gap between the creatives and production side. But I think for me, because I studied to be a production designer, I've been on stage, I understand when people are crying, like, we need a bit more for me to be able to build this thing that you want. You can't give me $100. When I need 200 Rand. So we do go through it as well. Yeah, it's I think it's slightly different for us in reality when it comes. It's the money is more focused actually for talent rather than what we have to do. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get yourself into the room and into the position to be able to understand that, to be able to understand the things that you understand? So for example, like scheduling, like budgeting, like all of the things that you've managed to work around, because there's a really big disconnect between people who want to make work, but they have no idea about the business of television. And so they have to turn to a producer. How did you get yourself into the door?
It literally was my first job in production. When I was interviewed, they were like, listen, we're looking for a production assistant. And I said to them, let me be honest, I have no idea what a production assistant does. And they were like, don't worry about it. We'll train you and you learn, you know, how to production assist. And when I got into the business, the one thing I told myself, and I still tell myself to this day, is that I'll be a sponge. I am going to learn as much as I can from anyone who's willing to give me advice. I am going to take that and grow from that. So yeah, like the first time I saw production schedules, I was like, what is happening here? Like,
yes.
The first time I saw post-production schedules, I was like, what is this?
Yes,
But like,
yeah.
you know, I learned and I taught myself, I like practice, and fortunately my bosses then were patient with me, and also like I learned from other people that were also employed in the company, like people that were coordinators that were above me at the time, or production managers. They taught me as well the ropes of production.
Have you found that people are generous with their information? I sometimes find that, like, because the job needs to get done, people hold on to the knowledge that they know, because we're all worried that there isn't enough space for all of us.
And it's a bit tricky, especially when I first started. I was doing like sitcoms and dramas. So I don't know how it is right now in the sitcoms and the dramas, but like you'd find like the older generation would be very like, they wouldn't want to share a lot of things, because here comes these new kids on the block, and basically somehow threatening their positions, you know, because they're getting older and they can't move like us, and we know we're willing to do whatever it is, any task that we're given, because we're so eager, we want to be in the game. So they would kind of be like moments where they wouldn't really like be as inviting, but you have to be like, sorry, I'm going to speak in Zulu, you know, just like, you're there, like, I'm going to learn. I don't care, you might be annoyed with me, but I'm going to stick by you. And I'm going to be there having learned something new. Yeah.
Well, this is why I love seeing Black female producers, Black female production coordinators, production managers, because you're genuinely running the whole production. And so it's good to see from a visibility point of view, but also it feels like we're being harvested less for stories. So you work with a lot of Black creators and a lot of Black people. How is that experience different when you're working with white producers?
Okay. So,
Nobody said it would be easy.
I need to watch my words. I need to watch my words.
Oh my goodness.
Honestly, I don't know if it's a color thing, but I think it also goes with a personality thing with people as well. Because I think, you know, some people are more, they are more helpful, and they are willing to, you know, teach us people. And then there's some people that just are not interested. They're just there to just make sure that the job is done and that they walk home with a check. So it's different. Some people don't have time to be like teaching us new people in the game like how to do things. Yeah, but I'm with the Black empowerment. I love working with my people.
I found that when I work on a set or in a production company that is more white run, the way things are run is very much like, this is what you're here to do. This is all you're here to do. Don't step outside of the boundaries of this thing.
Yeah. They're very strict. It's very structured.
Okay. It's fine.
Let's just I just think Black people. This I'm like it's. I don't think it's a color thing. I just think it's with the people that you work with. Yeah, some people
and the personality thing.
In the personality, some people are willing to paint outside the box, and some people prefer just painting in the box and it being black and white. Yeah.
So we're getting quite a few questions here about how do you deal then, because you're new and you're kind of in charge, and how people interpret that. Do you have imposter syndrome, and how do you deal with that?
All the time, like all the time. Like,
yes.
Sometimes I'm like, even with this interview, you know, I was just like, oh my gosh, people are going to be like, who the hell is Palesa Magakoa? And then I had to, like, you know, a couple of friends of mine had to be like, you've been in this game for a while. How are you doubting yourself? You know, and same here with me. I was like, but why am I going to doubt myself? I've worked really hard. You know, this wasn't handed to me on the silver platter. I had to work really hard to be where I am right now. So yeah, every day, like I question myself, like, am I doing good enough? Am I, you know, so it's always,
it's like a daily thing. And you know, one of the things that has helped me so much is a quote by Mindy Kaling. And she says, no, I'm not lucky to be here. Like, that's why do people always say, oh, you must feel so lucky. Like, no, I actually made a bunch of really great decisions and worked really hard. And that's why I'm here right now. You know, luck played a role, but don't put all of my achievement on luck.
Yes, no, that's so true. It's not luck. I worked my ass off.
And you did. Your CV is incredibly it's incredibly like lucrative and great to look at, and so amazing. You're kind of just like, okay, for those who don't know, I did mention at the top of the show, but basically every bomb-ass reality TV show you have watched on South African television right now, this woman is the producer or production manager on that. So congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
So my question for you is, how do we get other young Black women in this space and to be where you are?
I think Black women shouldn't be afraid, because it's a thing of not being afraid. I think Black women should also do their research as well, because I think most people just think it's just easy. Like, I think some people also get into it for the wrong reasons, especially with us, because we do reality TV and we work with certain people. So they look at that rather than looking at the work that we actually put behind it. I just think that women shouldn't be afraid. Just come through, like pull through, call, send your CV, you know, reach out to us. And we are always willing to even like come on our sets. Like sometimes we have like, you know, people asking, hey, can I just come through in your set and to see how you guys work? We're fine with that, you know. If you want to be an intern on one of our sets, do it, like, to learn. Like, we are always like you know, we are always open to teaching people how we work in BarLeader.
That's so important, and we're so grateful for that, because that's the kind of thing that you need. So what's been your biggest challenge on a project?
Challenges.
No, Palesa. You know what? I gave you off for the race question. I won't give you off for this one. What has been your biggest challenge, Palesa? Please.
Oh my gosh. the thing is that, oh my God. So because we work with, I need to, my challenge is basically because you work with, it's human relations, you're working with human beings. It's very tricky. Like, sometimes the talent and the production relationship is it's very touch and go. So those are the struggles. The second one is the money, the budget. It's not enough. It's not enough. And sometimes it goes even lower. It's not enough. So that becomes for us when we're trying to create really, really great entertainment. And and the money is not enough.
So we got a great question here coming in, is that we love what is your idea on representing Black people? Because all the work that you've done represents Black people in a very specific way, and perhaps a way that we haven't seen. So is that a deliberate decision, and what's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, I think I'll just make it I'll make this personal. I think because I watch a lot of reality TV, and when I see how Black people are represented, like in international reality TV, it's very we come across, especially females, Black females, we come across as very catty, or we're just very ratchet. We do not know how to control ourselves. We do not know how to work together as females. That's how they show us when you watch these shows like Real Housewives of Atlanta and all of that. So with us, the platform that we give talent, it's always saying that this is their platform and this is their platform to tell their story. And it's always told by other people, the media tells these people's stories. So for us, it's always like, this is your platform to tell your story and show people who you really are.
And you can completely see in the work is that it's not about who's fighting, who's going to have a big confrontation. Let's go to lunch so we can fight, and all of that. It's also about showing who people really are.
Who they are. It's always like their human stories. It's showing you even see their growth. If they are trying to have a shoe business, you'll see from episode 1 until episode 13 the growth of how they have moved, and from having nothing from ep 1 to at 13 now they have this huge shoe line. It's showing their personal, their love lives. We're showcasing how they are business wise. It's always to put them in a good light. It's never to give them a bad name as a Black person, because it's really tough already out there for us. We always just
does that hurt you in any way in terms of ratings or viewership, because it doesn't have the sensationalist come for the ratchetness?
No, I don't think. I think these people have the right followers that love who they are, and I don't think it changes our ratings at all, because people fall in love because their stories are relatable. And that's the thing. I think that's why people love our shows, because these people are so relatable. So Mies is the most relatable person ever. You're like, oh my gosh, you also do that. Bonang is so relatable. Like, oh, you also like me next door. You also drink a Savannah. I also drink Savannah.
Yes.
Like Mamkiza living in this huge mansion, but Mamkiza has these beautiful qualities in her, that you can kind of almost relate to as well.
I think that is so important, and it's our responsibility as young storytellers to kind of take that mantle on. I know that for me in scripted content, there's always a gut reaction that if we're going to write a doctor or a lawyer in, it becomes Mr. Smith. And it's like, no, you can actually have a doctor who's Dr. Mohale, and you can have a lawyer who does it. There's a gut reaction that as soon as something is elevated, as soon as something is a little bit more not ratchet, or whatever you want to call it, that we lean towards a more whiter narrative. So do you think then that South African television is about entertaining or educating?
I think, geez, you know why I'm kind of pulling myself back? Because when I think about that other channel that has those other shows that play on Sundays, and I'm like, this is not educational.
Yes.
But it's entertaining. People like watching those kind of shows.
Trends every single week.
Which channel I'm talking about. It's like, okay, this is not really educational. So I think South Africa is trying, like our television or film, we are trying to be kind of like educational, but I think people really sometimes after like a hard day at work, sometimes we just want to sit and watch something that is just like, I don't want to be thinking, like you just need entertainment.
Yes.
But
Yes.
there are different things as well that are kind of educational, that open up your eyes. I mean, look at what we did with Somizi. People have become more comfortable. You know how we have a lot of like hate against the LGBTQI community. But I think we show that these people are human as well. Like there's no need to be reacting, or when you see men or females, men and men kissing, or female and female kissing, you shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? This is normal. So like having a show like that has kind of changed how people, because I feel like Africa or South Africa, we're very what's this word? We're not willing sometimes to be open to something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how do you then manage the balance of like of being representative of these people being real and relatable and not just going for cheap drama, but also still staying entertaining? How do you manage that balance?
So with us, I think it goes even with how we decide to do reality. We know we're not doing reality TV just to be slapstick about it. We need to be so careful because these are people's lives. We're not just doing it to get a check at the end of the day. It's someone's life. So we need to be so careful as to how we actually produce this the show.
So which mode or style of television then do you feel like you love the most? Do you love reality or scripted? And you have to answer. Which
That's
one?
unfair.
No, you gotta answer. You gotta answer. Which one do you love the most? Which one feeds your soul? Which one do you wake up wanting to?
That is so unfair and it's so hard. Like, okay, I'll say for now it's reality, but I am craving for a scripted show. Like, I'm craving for it. Like, I need a scripted show. Yeah.
Okay, fair. What has been your most rewarding experience? There we go.
Oh, wow. Sure. I think my most rewarding is, I think it's getting to see people being entertained every single time with the things that we produce for them. You know, like when you go like on Twitter and people are commenting, like people are excited, people always have like messages about like how like amazing this is for them. Like I think that for me is always rewarding. Like, oh, all this hard work isn't going out for nothing, because it is a lot of work. Like it looks like it's fun and games, but it's a lot of hard work that goes into these productions. So it's always like people basically appreciating our work. That's always like my highlight.
Well, I mean, people not only appreciate it, what you touched on earlier is so important, is that you really are changing the narrative in a lot of across Africa. To see a woman like Manam, to see a woman like Mamkize, we don't have people like that, and now we do, and they've been represented. And what you've done for homophobia through your work as well has been very, very important. So I want to talk to you about ageism, because you're a young woman. And you are sitting in very key decision-making roles, employing people. Is that a factor or not really?
Yeah, it is. Like there are some instances where like I will not be taken seriously because you're going to look at me and you're like, okay, she's of a certain age, and you're dealing with someone else that's been in the game. Maybe they have like 20 years more than me. So they don't really take it seriously. I recently dealt with a situation like that, and basically I had to confront it, and I was so nervous. And I called a couple of friends that are in the industry, and they were like, "You had to do it. It's high time that someone actually puts their foot down, because it happens all the time, where just because I'm a certain age or I'm a certain skin color, I am not taken seriously. I'm questioned about the decisions that are being made." But like, and then you're just like, but I'm in this role for a certain reason. So it does, it's still there. Like ageism is strong. It's there.
Can the same be said for sexism?
Sexism as well, where if you're in a certain role as well, like me being a producer and you have to work with males, they won't take you seriously. They will rather listen to a senior male that is with me. They'd rather take direction from him than from me. So you deal with that. They'd rather talk to him or than talk to me. Like, no, it's fine. I'll wait for him to call me. Or don't worry, I'll wait for him to respond. So yeah, it's still there. And then sometimes I laugh and I'm like, you're being so silly, because at the end of the day, you're going to be driven back to me. You're going to have to
exactly.
I'm the one that makes sure that this boat is going at the end of the day, or this bus is going. So it's there too.
So how have you found your voice then to be like, no, nkulumile. So this is what needs to happen now. How have you found that inside you to do that?
I had to like really search. Like I had to search deep down, because another thing that was in play is like, it's that whole thing of that imposter syndrome thing. Is like, I was doubting myself. And I think your energy shows when you doubt yourself and you don't see yourself. People can see it and they can easily walk all over you. So when you take yourself seriously, you know, that's when people are like, okay, cool, do not mess with this one. Okay, cool, no, I hear you out. So I've had to like be like, sorry, hello.
I love that the owner of your production company has commented and said, is that him, me? As in, is the more powerful man that you need to report back to, is it him? That people want to know. Oh, well, at least now he knows. Now he knows that he'll say, you know what, revert back to Palesa, because there are structures in place, and that's why she's there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Awesome. Okay. So have you gotten any really great advice from the really powerful and successful women that you have worked with, that we have watched and fallen in love with on the screen?
I think my face says it all.
No.
Let me say not yet.
Not pearls. No pearls to share with us.
Not yet.
Okay. Are you surrounded by a lot of women, or are your sets typically male driven? And if so, how do you handle that situation?
In the business, I think what's great about our business, well, our company with BarLeader, is that a lot of women in higher positions. So you have, you know, the female producer, you have the female line producer, production manager, office manager. It's a lot of females. So our boss has made sure that the women are in good positions in the company. Am I surrounded by powerful women? Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
And so how do you go about shaping the narrative of women then? And I know we spoke a bit about the representation, but how do you keep respect on the sets? That's really the question, is that how do you keep respect on the sets for the women? Because you're going into people's lives in a reality show. So, and you mentioned that these are people's lives and this is something that you take really seriously. How do you make sure everyone respects that we're going into someone's home now? You know, let's act accordingly when people are changing, etc.
Yeah, I think it's that talk that you have to have. Sometimes it's like, but even the talk is not necessary. You know, you're stepping into someone's home, so please be respectful. You know that you basically, someone is opening up like but private things. You know, we've had instances where like some of these people, you'll never see it on camera, obviously, but they open up, or we do see other sides of them that no one will ever see. So I think with the team, we're very fortunate with the people that we work with, that they're very respectful. You'll never, you know, find them posting things that would basically put someone in a very uncomfortable position. It's just one of those things that you need to understand, that we are dealing with people's personal lives. So just be respectful of that.
We've got Beam Charlie who wants to know, would you mentor someone?
Of course, definitely.
So they should just hit you up. She's I Am Flower on Instagram and Twitter. Find her on there. I want to speak about what is a day in the life, because as a producer, you're obviously running the show. So
Yeah.
what could you take us through? Like, what is a day in the life? What are your responsibilities? What exactly do you have to do when you wake up, and what time you have to be on set, etc., etc.?
Yo, what do I not do? Jeez, like, like I wake up with phone calls sometimes at like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
everything's done. I think for me, fortunately, because like we all have, I sit at the top when it comes to my team, and then I have like trusted people like the production manager or the line producer. The line producer is the one that's like cracking the whip, making sure that things are done, that we meet the things that we need to do. The production manager making sure that everything is met, whatever the director asks for, and that we meet the creative. So for me, it's overseeing all of that and making sure that client is happy at the end of the day with our products, and also making sure that talent is also happy at the end of the day with how we are capturing their stories.
How do you deal and manage the relationship with clients? Because you're kind of the go-between, right? Between everyone on set, the crew, cast, and client. How do you manage that relationship with client to make sure you're not compromising whatever story you want to tell and give them what they want as well?
We fight a lot. We fight. We fight to tell the people's stories, because sometimes client will want something or have a different vision from what we actually are trying to tell. So
yeah.
you always also kind of have to, meet their needs, but we also can't kill our creativeness. We always have to make sure that we are happy and that the talent is happy, but we also need to make sure that they are happy with what they get at the end of the day. So it is a fight sometimes, because they'll want something that's totally different, but we can't do that. Yeah.
And would you say that for a young producer, what would be the top three, if you give us three attributes that you would really need to have in order to be able to maintain that relationship, but also stay true to your own creative vision?
Top three. I think, again, I'll make this very personal.
Yeah.
I think it's always, my number one is like, you always should be willing to learn. This game is always changing. You need to be open. You need to be there. You need to be present. You need to be on set. When you need to be on set, like, that's my thing. You just always need to learn. Yeah, I think basically I have one. It's like, always just be open.
Okay.
Be available.
And so how do you then, if you're willing to learn, because you must need a lot of discipline to be able to do what you do, and managing a lot of people, how have you as Palesa managed to conquer discipline, if you have?
Discipline within myself is to make sure that I always have like a to-do list. Sometimes it's not written down in black and white, it's in my head.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that I meet my deadlines, or I do the things that I need to do in a day. There's always like a to-do list. And it's taken a lot of discipline to make sure that I actually do have a to-do list, because there's so much happening in a day. So yeah, so I've had to learn to stick to the things that I've said that I'm going to do in that day.
And okay, so, and if you don't, and you end up having a bad day, or something doesn't go the way that you need to do, it's a two-part question.
Another big thing for me as well, you need to, and it's not for everyone, it's crisis management, because you're dealing in an industry where there's always something happening. It's never perfect. You always need to be ready for, if this plan A doesn't work, have a plan B, have a plan C, have a plan D all the time. Because if I make an example where you'll plan for a shoot the next day, and maybe talent will pull out, talent will say, I'm not available anymore, something else has come up, like a personal situation has come up. So you have to always, and like with your schedules, we have like, let's say 30 days to shoot this thing. So you always have to have a plan B. If something goes wrong, just always have a plan B.
Do you produce in your life? So I know I'm a writer first. So everyone around me watches their mouth and their stories, because they will show up somewhere, in some way. Do you find that you produce your life, that you have a plan A and a plan B and a to-do list and everything you need for your personal life as well?
No, my gosh, my personal life is like everywhere sometimes. I'm just like, how am I able to basically plan for like, like shows and all these things, and have it like, to the T? But when it comes to my personal life, it's just like, it's like everywhere.
Okay. Have have you gotten some really great, I'm trying to get out of you all of these pieces of advice that people want, because everyone keeps asking me and has been asking me all week, is that ask her what her advice is. We want to know what her advice is for how we get to where she is, and what have you had a mentor, for example, who's imparted some really great wisdom onto you?
I think with every project, I've been fortunate enough to have someone who is a senior that has given me like pearls of wisdom along the way. So when I was with a certain production that would just tell me, okay, you need to move this way. I remember I worked on this international drama, and my line producer, because I think I was a production coordinator then, and my line producer told me, she was like, there's one thing, and I now tell that to my team members. She was like, you need to know the difference between working hard and working smart. She's like, you're working really, really hard, but you can't burn yourself out. And like in pre-production, we need you in production, we need you back in post. So you need to learn how to work smart. And that has always stuck with me. And I always say that to my team members. I'm like, I cannot have you guys working so hard to burn yourselves out. And then basically what happens is I'll be then carrying like all this weight, you know, like we need everyone good. We need everyone to be healthy. We need everyone to be sane, to be able to, so that we all can work together as a team. I can't have people breaking down on me. It's a lot of work. I need everyone.
that is such a great, like, work smart and not hard. I think at the beginning of your career, I don't know if you know how to work smart. You kind of have to watch other people do it, and then you're just like, why am I so exhausted?
Yes.
But they are like, hi, how you doing?
Like,
exactly. Yeah. So do you feel like now you've kind of have figured out a way that Palesa can work smart whilst getting the best out of her projects and everything that you need?
I think sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just like, okay, cool, because we're just trying to make sure that we're meeting a deadline. You're just going to work hard, you know, you're going to exhaust yourself out. And then sometimes it's just like, and it goes with proper planning. You need to plan your stuff properly. You want to have a plan. Once you have like, once you have a plan, you're good to go.
Yeah, I find the mess ups don't happen in production, like during shooting. They don't happen in post. If it was something that was wrong in pre-production, there was something there that you missed. There's something you did. Yeah.
Like if production is messed up, it's all gonna go downhill from there.
That is so hectic. So do you feel a lot of pressure then, that like, yo, if this project doesn't do what we said it's going to do, it's on my shoulders?
Yeah, it is. And I think that's one of the producers' stress most of the time, because if it doesn't work out, it's all on us. Like, it's on us. It's on us. So yeah, I feel like tremendous stress all the time when we're doing these projects. I'm just like, we need to just make sure that we deliver what we said we'd deliver, or just even go above and beyond and surprise people and even give them more than what they expected. Are there
any producers that you look up to, that you've seen do this and work hard, and you kind of are like, I really, that's a career that I'd like to emulate, locally or internationally?
Do you think I'm being biased if I would say my boss? Am I being
you can't say legend. No. Please stretch yourself a little bit. No, we won't accept. We need someone else. Although he is amazing and great, and we do.
I would say, listen, I'm just gonna give, like, you know, my flowers to also like Burnt Onion. I mean, they are the ones that introduced me into the this producing world. So I'll give it to them. Like, they walk me through it. So it's them, like Retabile and Katlego. So yeah, I would say them.
So they're amazing people to work with. And so it's interesting that you bring up them, because the kind of then styles that I would say that you really enjoy, or kind of people that you work with, have a really strong narrative vision of what they want, which makes your job easier, I can imagine.
Yes, it does.
How do you handle conflict on set?
Yeah, with crew, with talent, with whom?
Let's start with crew. That's
You know, like sometimes crew members can be like, they become like your babies as well. You need to just make sure that because they have a lot of demands and requests. Okay, demand is a strong word, but like, you know, they are babies. So you just need to make sure that everyone is happy with what you have and said. And how do I resolve it? It's always basically just a talking and making sure that people are comfortable and happy. It's pulling them aside, just talking to them, finding out what the problem is, so that it helps me then make their lives easier. Yeah. If there's a conflict between two crew members, it's just pulling them aside, asking them, what is the problem? What do you need help with? What is making you unhappy?
Do you often feel like the mommy on the set to kind of take care of things and kind of do it?
Mommy in the set, mommy in the office with my production team as well.
How do you assemble your team? How did you find your team? Because it seems like you've got a good team going that you kind of carry from each project to the next, and so it's like a family. How did you find your team, and how did you assemble your team?
My team is awesome. I actually found most of them there already, so I didn't actually come in and choose the people that were there. But the team that I have, they are really awesome. Like, we are family. We help each other so much. Like, with us, it's not, you won't find someone saying, no, I'm just the PM and I'm not gonna do like what the production assistant is doing. Sometimes, like, my production manager will literally become the runner as well. Like, we assist each other in so many ways. Sometimes you'll find like the creative director stepping through and saying, no, it's fine, let me sit down and help you with like your post-production schedule. It's that dynamic is very interesting. Like, I really have an awesome team. So yeah.
And so how are you keeping them happy, Palesa? That's what other producers want to know. How are you?
I don't know right now if I'm like if I'm making them happy.
Yeah.
They're like so tired, like, we just need a break. Like, please, can we have like a holiday? Because there's so much happening. But I think the best thing that I can always do for my team is just give them the time and just find out from them if they're doing well. And the best thing I can do is also just be supportive as well, because you need that. You need to know that there's someone in your corner. Let's say even with an editor, like, you know, they spend so much time looking at the same thing over and over again, and sometimes they're not getting it right, or sometimes they're getting it right. So it's to be the biggest hype man, and also just to try and also show that you're there for them and you're supportive. And if they want to vent, you will vent with them, you know. If they do well, we hype each other up in the office. Like, it's like, yeah.
Well, I love to hear that from a producer, because often producers get this really bad rep of being the ones who, you know, you're on a hospital bed. Yeah, shut up, Mara. You still owe me A, B, and C, you know? And I've had sort of experiences like that where I'm like, surely this person doesn't just see me as like a walking script or like a walking block, like, you know? So how do you keep your humanity in a job that really does require you to kind of grill people to work their hardest and do what they have to do?
So you know, sometimes it's difficult because like it's difficult being in this position, because you have to make sure that we meet the deadlines. Like, client is waiting for these things, you know, and you have to crack whip and say, you guys need to work extra hard. Like, you need to put in, like, if it's a 6-day week, unfortunately we have to work 7 days a week to try and make sure. But I promise you that when we're done, when we wrap this project up, I can give you a week off or whatever it is. Like,
so do you negotiate all the time? Are you just always
negotiations?
Yes. Okay. Well, that's a really great tactic. I mean, I always fall for the negotiation. As long as you hold up your end of the bargain, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, just like you were saying, you have to like also put yourself in their shoes as well. Just try and understand, like, these are human beings at the end of the day. Like, yes, they are expected there. This is a job, but you also need to understand, like, you can't also just exhaust people and forget that they also are human beings.
So what is your grand vision for like our industry? Like, what is it that you want to see? So while you're thinking about it, because I know it's a big question, I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is that I'm tired of being the only person who looks like me in many of the rooms that I'm in many of the decision-making things that I'm in. It's exhausting, and it feels like every word I utter is carrying every Black woman on my back, and I don't need it and I don't want it. All that responsibility. So for me, the vision would be just more of us.
I
What,
think
what's
same
yours?
thing, yeah. Same here. And I take it back to when I was in Cape Town, that experience. I was like, geez, man, can there be more of us representing, more of us, our stories? And can our stories not be told by the other kind? Because they don't understand it, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want us. I would say that can channels also give us the freedom to, just like go out there and just give us the creative freedom to tell our stories the way that we want to tell them. Because sometimes I feel like there's always like, they always block us somehow. Like,
Yeah.
we
So
find
if that
ourselves.
block wasn't there, what is it that you want to tell? What is the dream story? What is the thing?
Oh my gosh. Jeez, let me think about that. There's a lot that I want to tell. Like, a lot of things that I'd want to tackle when it comes to reality TV. There's a lot that we can't do. Like, I feel sometimes we're always finding ourselves telling like mediocre stories, and that's not fair. So there's a lot. There's
I hear, I mean, there was a question earlier that you have plans. I don't know if you have plans, or do you have plans on a docu with Sisulu?
a docu with Susulu.
Yeah, telling documentary. Is that something you're interested in, that you would love to branch out and be able to do?
Oh yes, I love filming documentaries. We actually have done quite a few. There's one that we're nominated for on Encounters of South Africa International, like a docu thing. So there's one that we did
Shout out.
with DNA. It's called The Art of Being Human. So yeah, and I hope that we get to do more documentaries. We're currently also filming documentaries with another company. And it's going to be 5 documentaries basically talking about empowering youth. So yeah, with Showmax. So I would love to do more documentaries. Like I said, I would love to go into more scripted stuff. I'm craving.
Legend said it's coming.
Drama. I'm craving for a film. Like
Yes,
I'm
yes.
those kind of things. Like I miss that challenge as well. Like so yeah.
But I think that the work you do is a kind of documenting a realism documentary of people's stories and people's lives. They're grand and they're amazing, but it's definitely true to that.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like a documentary.
Yes.
Well, they are documentaries.
Just episodic. Okay, so for just like the last minute, I just really want to know what you want to say to people that are entering this industry.
Yeah.
What they really need to do, just like a step-by-step, this is what you need to do.
I think what I want to leave people with is just like, you can do it. If you want it, go out for it. Forget, like, we are dealing with it every single time, this imposter syndrome of, people are going to question my abilities. Leave that behind. Like, we need more females, we need more Black females that are going to dominate this industry. So it's just like, just keep pushing. There are people, like, I'm willing to always teach. I'm willing to give people chances. So if you need help, I mean, I might not always be able to help as well, but where I can, I will do it. I can always refer you to someone else, and hopefully,
they'll be able to help you in whatever way. I think that you've touched on something so important, which is that don't let imposter syndrome get in your way, because that is you standing in your own way. And you're the only one saying, you're the first no. You're going to get so many no's out there, that don't be a no to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being brave. Sorry, what were you saying?
That's so important. You're saying don't be a no to yourself. You actually said something good there. Yeah.
So thank you so much.